Oh my gosh, I'm so cold. I'm so cold. Hi everybody, I am Tabby and I want to welcome you back to Take Heart, or welcome you to Take Heart if this is the first time you're stumbling across my lovely YouTube channel. I don't know why I did that. I'm not that extra, to be honest. These videos are fast becoming my favourites. I love just sitting on my bed, being all cozy. I've got my blanket and a hot water bottle today. It's really cold. Just sit on my bed and have a chat with you guys about a topic. So far I have done why I quit my job, which is going to feed really well into this video. So I will link it below and it'll probably pop up at the side if you do want to go and watch that before you watch this, or you can watch it afterwards. It'll just give you a bit more detail, because in this video I'm just going to stay top line about my previous life before nannying. If you like this chatty style of video that I do, please do comment below and let me know, because obviously a lot of my mates say, oh, that's good, but it's not the same as you lot liking it. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna apologise for the lighting, although I cannot control it. It's winter, it's what it does. It's really annoying. I don't think I've actually said what I am doing. Today I'm doing an au pair Q&A video. So I asked across Twitter, Facebook and Instagram for people to send me questions about how I became a nanny au pair, and just some general questions about what it's like, I guess. Start off with a little bit of context around my decision, how I got there, the practical things I needed to be a nanny, and I'll leave any links in the description box that I think will be helpful for you in case you're watching this thinking, is this something that I want to do? If I don't answer something you've been thinking, you've got any more questions, please do comment below and ask. I'm more than happy to help. And if people think it would be useful to have another video that is literally just how to become a nanny, then I'm more than happy to film that. So a little bit of context for you. I used to be a finance analyst. My previous job that I just left was group stock controller at French Connection, which was a finance role, just a little bit different to the finance analyst stuff I was doing before. And this year's been a bit rough. I was a little bit sick because I've got a congenital kidney thing that plays up every so often. I was feeling quite run down. I'd had a difficult time with a previous employer and I just really felt like I needed a break. I just needed to take a prolonged period of time off. And so I quit my job at French Connection and took the summer off. You know what? I'll just enjoy myself. I'll go on a few trips, I'll travel a bit. I did so much and I was super lucky to be able to do that. But when the time started to run out, and more importantly the money started to run out, I had to decide what I was going to do. Was I going to go back to full-time work, or was I going to try and pursue Take Heart and use that career break as like a jumping block? Is that what it's, starting block? Starting block. Do I take that summer as a starting block? I'm already out of a job. Now is a time to take a risk. Do you know what I mean? Or like it's a perfect opportunity to take the risk. That's how I saw it. And when I thought about applying for jobs and going back into full-time work, it was just making me feel sick and a little bit like anxious and icky in here. And I was like, cool, that's really great information. That means I'm not ready to go back yet. What can I do? Practically, I needed to be able to pay rent, pay bills, eat, you know, those little things. Which is where the idea to nanny came in. Now, this has been something that's kind of been in my head for years. I've always thought this would be a really fun thing to do, but I basically made decisions that took me on a certain trajectory, and then it was like, oh, well, I've like missed the opportunity to do that in my life. I've previously looked into doing childcare on a ski season and things like that. I'd love to be a travelling nanny, or, you know, go somewhere for the summer and look after kids. That kind of a thing has always been in my head, but I've just never done it. Mainly because if you want any kind of job involving kids, you have to have previous experience with kids. It's one of those catch-22s where you're like, how do I get the job without having previously had a job? Like, I can't get the first job, so how can I get the dream job? Do you know what I mean? It's a bit weird. And for a lot of time this summer, I didn't consider it as an option. I was like, oh, what could solve all my problems? Nannying, right? I don't have any previous experience with children. Can't do nannying. And that's where I was at. Another little inspiration around the nanny situation is that one of my favourite bloggers and authors, Laura Jane Williams, she wrote a book called Becoming, which is incredible, and I will leave a link for her down below so you can go find her. She was back in London nannying part-time so she could write as well. That's where she built her blog, her followers, her viewership, so she could go to a publisher and be like, here you go. So she used nannying as an anchor and as that security that she would always have an income and would have somewhere to live, but was following her dream with the spare time that she had. That was kind of the inspiration behind it. Really funny though, when I told my friends and family that I was going to be a nanny, because they were all like, but Tabby, you don't like children. For ages, I did used to say I don't like children, and I used to say I didn't want my own kids, and I was very like, I'm quite a strongly opinionated woman, and I'm very like, don't tell me what to think, I know my own mind, I'm fine, thank you. And I used to do that about kids. People used to say to me like, when you get a bit older, darling, you'll change your mind. And I was like, no, what? And that's very disrespectful of you to say, and that's very condescending of you to say to me. And then yeah, now I'm sat here going, I'm a nanny and I want to be a nanny, and I feel like I say this in every video, but that's a different video for a different time. I've changed so much in the last year and a half, and I've become so much happier that actually I used to be quite afraid of kids, and now I'm just not that worried about it, do you know what I mean? It's weird, I can't really describe what happened and what changed, but it just did, and I was just like, yeah, I really want to work with kids, it'll be awesome. I'm also very, very lucky that a friend of mine from church used to nanny. When I had questions about figuring all this out, she was such a great source of support and information. So thank you, Lou. I wouldn't be here without you. So the first thing I did when I decided I wanted to be a nanny was approach my church and ask if I could be part of the kids team at church. I knew I needed it for nannying. That was my opportunity at experience with kids. Also, to have my church as a reference, that's obviously a really good reference. That's really got its weight in gold. Do you know what I mean? Another reason for me volunteering for kids church was that I would get a DBS check through my church. So I would get experience with kids, a reference from my pastor, and the DBS check, which are 3 really important things that you need to be a nanny. You need really solid references, definitely DBS, definitely experience. And I suppose at this point I should say I really enjoy children. I really enjoy hanging out with them. It is so much fun. It is so carefree and just easy. This job and this setup that I have as an answer to be able to blog, I don't know that that would be for everybody. I mean, you can just do it as like a career nanny and just treat it as a job, but I don't know how you would do that, because the patience and the love you have to have for the kids, if you didn't have that inherently, I don't know how you would do it. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so where was I? So I was doing kids church, and then I tried signing up for some babysitting agencies, but babysitting agencies were actually quite difficult to get into. I didn't really get that many responses. Yeah, babysitting agencies were just a bit of a dud for me. I didn't manage to get any babysitting work before I became a nanny. So the next thing for me to do was to get a paediatric first aid certificate. Pretty much every nannying role you will look at or apply for will require one of these. I went and got the 12-hour like Ofsted approved one because it was about an extra tenner, and I just thought, well, why not get it whilst I'm already doing the day? I did my first aid course through Little Ones Nannying Agency in London. I'll link them down below. They aren't particularly good at getting you a placement or a job. Like, I emailed them about 4 or 5 times and was ignored every time. It was probably because I was so inexperienced, but they could just email back and say, sorry, we're not interested. Do you know what I mean? But for that first aid course, it was really good. It was also way cheaper than any that you'll find. I was looking at like St. John's Ambulance and it was a couple of £100, whereas this was 90 something. So I paid that out of my own money, but obviously I knew that this was something that I wanted to do, so I just bit that bullet. Also, if you can't get your DBS check through an organisation like I did with my church, you may have to pay for your own DBS check. Sorry, battery died. Oh, let's put this one on charge. So by September, I was in as good a position as any to apply for jobs. It wasn't ideal, like I didn't have that much childcare experience. I was running fast out of cash, so I needed a nanny placement really quickly, to be honest. I emailed tons of nannying agencies and barely got responses. The ones I did get responses from said you're not experienced enough to be on our books, so that was really challenging. I signed up to childcare.co.uk, which is like a website that you can just create yourself a profile as a nanny and families can get in touch with you, and I did have quite a lot of response. I also signed up for one called Au Pair World, which is international, and I actually got provisionally offered a role with a family in Italy, but I just wasn't ready to leave the UK, to be honest. I'm not ready to leave London yet. But in the end, I found my 2 families that I had 2 interviews for on Gumtree. One was a family in Wandsworth where I was living in Tooting at the time. My church is in Balham and I love southwest London, so that would have been perfect. And then the other is Chiswick in West London, which is the family I'm with now. Spoiler alert as to which family I chose. The Chiswick family I interviewed with twice within a week and then started the job the week after. That's the thing with nannying as well. Generally when people are interviewing for nannying, it's because they need someone right now. So the kids had actually already started school when I took the job. Although it wasn't in my ideal location, the house was beautiful. We live on the river, so that's absolutely gorgeous in London. Also, being in West London doesn't even feel like you're in London. It feels like I'm in some gorgeous like little town countryside somewhere. It feels really removed. My room is lush and I have an ensuite, which I'm very, very grateful for. And the kids are 7 and 9. So they're at school between 8:30 and 3:30 minimum, and they have lots of extracurricular clubs, so that just gives me so much time to blog and do Take Heart. Okay, so I think that is the context and the how I became and the detail around where I'm at right now. So I think we can probably get into some questions. First up is my YouTube wife, Bethan Webb, asking, okay, so I want to know, what does a day in the life of look for you? Also, what is the one thing you miss from having a structured 9-to-5 style job? I'll do the second one first because that's easiest. It's definitely the people. Some of my best friends are people that I've worked with in different offices and different jobs, like Mariana, who you guys will see in all my videos. We work together in House of Fraser Finance. Also, there's two guys, Dan and Dan, who are like my besties. They're from House of Fraser as well. I love that work-wife dynamic you have. So when I was at Ilamasca, there's a girl, Summon, and we were just in each other's pockets. I really love having a work wife. Nannying is really lonely. I'm on my own most days, and then when I'm not on my own, I'm with the kids, which is great, but it's not like adult conversation. And then even when I'm with the parents, it's still not the type of conversation that I would have. It's not that banter dynamic that you would have with your friends. I am trying to combat that loneliness though, so I am trying to make friends in West London, and I'm seeing the friends that I already have over here. On a weekend, I'm barely at the house. I basically go out on a Saturday morning and come back on a Sunday night because I'm just always out doing things with people. Okay, and what does my day in the life look like? It does vary, obviously, week on week, depending on what the parents have planned, what the kids have as their extracurricular activities, if they have any sport matches or any events, kids parties, that kind of thing. But on average, Mummy Chiswick and I sit down and plan the week ahead, and we have like a family planner with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on, and we plan who does what pickups and drop off, what nights I'm going to be babysitting, and what meals I'm going to cook through the week. I mentioned the kids have extracurricular activities, and they have them pretty much every day, and they both have different schedules. So quite often one will be on an early start and one will be on a late start. An early start means they have to be at their club for 7:30ish, and then a late start is 8:30. So the night before, I'd have laid out the clothes that they need for the next day, whether it was their uniform or their PE kit, and I would have packed their school bag, so anything they would need for the extracurricular activities they have that day. Oh, and snacks. Snacks are very important. So yeah, I'd go upstairs, make sure they're up and awake. I would make the beds. I would get them dressed, brush their teeth, and then we'd come downstairs for breakfast. I do have housekeeping duties with this role, and now I've been here nearly 3 months. I've kind of got myself into a little rhythm of what I do on each day. So on a Monday, I will strip the beds and change the bed sheets, and I'll wash those sheets. I'll probably do a load of kids washing as well, and then hang it all out to dry. On a Tuesday is when I would do the ironing from the day before. I also do the bins on a Tuesday. Wednesday tends to be a housekeeping free day. Thursday would be washing again, and Friday I do ironing again. Throughout the week, it's also my responsibility to keep the playroom tidy and keep the kids' bedrooms tidy. So yeah, on an average day, I could have any kind of manner of housekeeping duties. At the most, it would be 2 hours, but maybe just an hour. Some days I don't do anything. If I'm picking up the kid... It's not my phone, so I don't answer it, do you know what I mean? Then when we get home from school, my main duties are a little bit of play, homework, dinner, bath and bed. So my main working hours are about an hour and a half in the morning, then 4 to 5 hours on an evening from 3:30 to 8:30ish. So that's kind of my average day as best I can make it, because there is no average day as a nanny, do you know what I mean? But I think that's kind of it. Oh, and I make cookies every week because I'm trying to be Mary Poppins. Okay, the next questions are from Instagram again, from TGIF Freya XO. And I've written these ones down for some reason. She asked, how did you decide, all right, this is what I want to do now? The thing that made me go, okay, yes, I can do this now, is my friend Lou basically showing me that I didn't need to be Mary Poppins to be a nanny, and us coming up with a very clear plan of tick this box, tick this box, tick this box, and you'll be able to get a job. That is what made me think, yes, I can do it. But what made me decide this is what I wanted to do now was definitely my love and my passion for Take Heart. So corny. If you don't know, I'm a practicing Christian, and I believe that God has a plan for us all, and things don't happen by mistake. And there's a whole story behind how I came up with Take Heart that I really feel God was at work, and that'll be a different video. so many different videos. I think I was doing an excellent job of talking myself out of doing it and why I shouldn't take the risk and why Take Heart won't work. And one day me and Lou just sat and had a conversation about all the ways it would and how God wants this for me and how I want this for me. And I don't know, when you have that much love and passion for something, you just take the risk and you just go, oh, I'll do it. Oh, fine, I'll do it. And you know what, that's it, in one little nugget. The reason I decided this is what I'm going to do now is because I just wanted to follow my dream. That almost takes your choice away. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to do it. You have to take the leap. You have to pursue your passion and what's going to make you happy. Freya's next question is, are you happy with your decision? And this is such a good question. There's been a reason that I haven't recorded this video until now, and it's because the transition between the two lifestyles has been so monumental. I've been all over the shop. Absolutely all over the shop. I've been so down, I've been so high, I've been really upset, then I've been loving it. It's really difficult, and now I feel like I'm at the plateau and I feel comfortable and I've gotten used to it and it's not so dramatic. But for about a month I was like, what have I done? I can't do this, and what have I done? Now, I've gone from being this big high-powered career woman to being told how to put a spoon in a dishwasher. I can't handle that, like, do you know what I mean? I'm alright with it now, but for a little while I was like, what have I done? And I'm skint. This is awful. I've had the odd dry week where there hasn't been that much activity or growth and I'm in a bit of a slump. I'm probably due on my period and I just go into complete fear that what have I done? If Take Heart doesn't work, what have I done? Whereas in the stable plateau where I am now, I'm just taking it all as experience and I'm just enjoying it for what it is. I'm enjoying the fact it's a Thursday at 1 o'clock and I'm sat here recording rather than being in an office panicking about how I'm going to fit all my content in with one day's worth of film. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think my perspective was a little bit off for a while, whereas yeah, I'm just going to enjoy it now. So yes, I'm happy with my decision. The third question Freya asked me was, what is it like moving in with a family who are basically complete strangers? Good question. I'm a very sociable person, so it was a bit easier for me, I suppose. I'm not very awkward. I could make conversation with a brick wall, do you know what I mean? So to move in with strangers was like, okay. And I've actually been living with strangers my whole life. I've always done random house shares. 2 years at uni I lived with friends and they were awful. So I'm very good with living with strangers. It's awesome here because I have my own bathroom. So that really does feel like once I've closed my bedroom door, I do have my own space and my own place. I would say generally a family that hires a nanny is a very busy family. So they're out all the time. I tend to have the house to myself most days. It tends to just be me and Marvin. If you follow my Instagram or you've watched any of my other videos and you know Marvin, that's the family's cat. He's not mine, but he's definitely coming with me if I have to leave this house, do you know what I mean? I love him so much. Even on weekends they tend not to be here or they go away on trips, so it's really pretty chill. Sometimes I eat with the parents, sometimes I don't. When I was looking at nannying, I wasn't even bothered about what the children were going to be like. It was the parents that I thought were going to be the biggest issue, and that can still be true. There are some times where me and the parents will just have a little bit of a and it's not, you know, it's not like an argument, it's not an issue, but it's just a bit of, but it's all learning. It's all learning. So yeah, living with them has been totally fine. The next lot of questions are from Izza Wonders. Thank you very much, Izza. Izza asks, what is the best thing about being a nanny? And it's a no-brainer. It definitely is the kids. I have the most fun ever with these kids because they're just such a joy, and I get to be a big kid when I'm around them. Like, it might be because of my age or I don't really know, but I'm more of a big sister, older friend vibe. I'm not like serious nanny. I get to play with them quite a lot. Like, I learned how to play chess since nannying because the boy that I look after is an avid chess player, so that's really cool. We colour, we draw, yeah, we do board games, we play wizards, and so we'll run around and cast spells on each other. And one that has particularly taken off is my smelly bum bum spell that I created. So if you fire that spell at anyone, it makes them a smelly bum bum, obviously. I get to teach them stuff. I get to help them see the world through a lens. Like, that's incredible. That's incredible. Like, because these kids are privileged, I get to talk to them about kids who are underprivileged and the things that these guys have that others don't and how they should be grateful for it. Like, I'm having an impact on how they view the world, and that's mind-blowing to me. To mirror that, Isabel's next question is, what is the worst thing? I would say, for me, the inflexibility of being a nanny. Now, that's a little bit contradictory because it is very flexible in a bunch of ways, but bottom line, my priority has to be this family, and part of what they pay for is that I am 100% fully flexible all year round, all week, and that is so difficult, especially because I've lived my entire life just for myself. I've had like one relationship where I had to compromise slightly, but I was so headstrong I barely compromised. Do you know what I mean? Just always lived for myself and always had control over what I've done. So now to have to put the family first is so like, ugh. It's very good learning for me. I'm trying to really grasp that I'm not entitled to anything. It's a really important lesson for me to learn in my life. I'm not entitled to anything, and I need to be grateful for every opportunity and everything that I have. So that FOMO feeling you get, and that like anger that you can't go to an event, well, you weren't entitled to go to that. And when you start to think that way, you work better and you serve better, because things that inconvenience you don't bother you as much. Do you know what I mean? That might have just been nonsense, but to me it makes sense. However, on the other hand, if I was working a full-time job, I wouldn't be able to record this in the middle of the day. So everything's a compromise, and everything has its ups and downs. Isa also asks, what are some of the most difficult rules I have to stick to? We don't really have that many rules, to be honest. Probably things to do with like timing, I guess. So like bedtimes is always quite difficult because the kids don't want to go to sleep. Being on time for school and stuff is quite hard because you're having to juggle a lot in the morning. And again, like I don't want to be strict and raise my voice, but sometimes you've just got to get it done to make sure they're at the certain place at the right time. Dessert rules are difficult. So I would love to have ice cream every night for dinner, but it's not good for children to feed them ice cream every night. So on the nights they're asking for ice cream where I can't give it them, I'm like, no, sorry. I do a very good stern, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a melt, I can be strict when I need to be, but those are the types of things, like just having to say no to anything in general, like when they want to play but they've got their homework to do and I have to be the one that says no, do your homework. I hate that. Yeah, I would say that those are the hardest ones. Oh, and this is such an Isabel question. So Isabel says, can you do an impression of Fran from The Nanny? Do you all know what The Nanny is? I swear I used to watch it on Living TV. It's like a little half-an-hour sitcom, and she's like is she from Brooklyn or Queens or something? And she goes and lives in the fancy family, and she's dead common. Basically like this scenario, just a UK version. She has a really nasally voice and she's like, nah. Sorry, that was like a goat. She's like, Mr. Sheffield. Oh, Mr. Sheffield. That's my impression. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to anyone watching this. Okay, so that was my au pair Q&A. I hope I gave you a little bit more insight into this new phase of my life. It's a totally new experience. It's an amazing experience. I'm really grateful for it. I'm really grateful for the family that I'm in. And I don't really know what the future holds, to be honest. I'm gonna stay with this family until next summer, which is when my like contract runs out. And then I guess I'll decide whether I go back to full-time work, whether I stay with this family, whether I move back to Southwest London, because that is something that's weighing on my heart a little bit, whether I go abroad. I don't know. It's quite cool going with the flow and not panicking and not thinking, oh, I need this promotion by this time and I need to earn this much money by this time. Like, obviously I have those pressures with Take Heart and what I want for Take Heart, but like, it's still pretty like loosey-goosey. Do you know what I mean? It's very cool. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I hope to see you again really, really soon. I'm outie. Bye.